Good afternoon. My name is Amir. I'm the CEO of BNetworks. I would like first to apologize for two things. One, I don't have a cool accent like the guy from OVH that spoke earlier in the keynote. And the second thing is that I will drift off the standard presentation. So, there's a great stuff going on in the community. We heard Sunny. I think the adoption, a number of players coming in and continue to collaborate. Gartner, Deloro, everybody talking about how the impact of SONiC, how it can grow from 6 billion to 60, all this great stuff. But for those of you who know me, I'm all about going into the enterprise. I think we're still lacking behind. There's good groups coming into, Penn's group, et cetera, trying to bring it to the enterprise. But what we at BE try to do is to make it real. I mean, AI, 80% of AI is 7 companies. So for most of people around here, PFC, ECN is still something that might not be relevant. But every organization uses network. In the world of distributed compute, whether your office, I mean, I have a few customers visiting around here, many deployments, manufacturing, universities, et cetera. SONiC can be very, very important, but you need to make it real. So, and the network, it's something that people should obsess. Network, nobody at IT get, oh, he did a great job, your network is up. No, you always get a call when there's a problem. So you need to obsess about network operation. You don't want to get the call in the middle of the night. There are 2 subsets of the network operation that we focus on, is how networks are maintained and how networks are optimized. We heard Nanda earlier talking about network optimization, so what I'm going to focus my talk about is network maintenance. And what is network maintenance? It's like going to the dentist every 6 months, cleaning up, making sure that everything is okay before you have to do a root canal. So network maintenance, the goal is to bring unscheduled outages to 0. So you want, every time you want to update the network device, you want to do it in your own terms, not when it decides for you. And we at BNetworks, we have a goal to bring it down to 0. It's still it's work in progress, but working giving the tools to people to use networks that will enable that. And the idea is that the tool does all the heavy lifting for you. You just have to guide it. So intent-based networking, and it needs to work 24/7. But before that, what are networks in need? All right, so there's a lot. We heard EdgeCore. Later there'll be Celestica and others. There's commercial off-the-shelf equipment that you want to use. Now, COTS is something that is important not just for elements of reducing cost. COTS, commercial off-the-shelf items, are about resiliency. You're not dependent on one vendor, and if you have a problem, you can go mix and match. So it gives you the power to make your network more resilient. But your networks need to be very dynamic. Auto detection is a key, for understanding path. Obviously, we're going to hear later about, how you set up fabrics, et cetera. So auto detection is a key. You cannot have this static network of basically giving the routes or, you want it to do it self-optimized. And last but not least, you want it API-centric. API are things that will help you integrate your network with other elements. So for example, we integrate with Terraform, Ansible, Kubernetes, anybody that's because you have to be part of the CI/CD pipeline. Your networks need to give you 100% telemetry, real time, and help you reports to understand outliers. Use machine learning. We heard Ram talking about machine learning. Well, not just machine learning to how to have better networks, but in terms of serving applications, but also how you can have the networks improve themselves. So we are at SONiC. We are big fan of SONiC, and we have many, many deployments with SONiC throughout the world. I'm going to get to it in the use case. But the goal is to guarantee, use SONiC. It's great. I mean, there's a representative here from Microsoft who was early on there in the SONiC journey. And we owe these guys a big round of applause, if you ask me. I don't know, lost that. Oh, it's in and out. They helped us create a fantastic tool to give power to distribute the power of networking. So 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was a big, huge company, and then since then, the balance has shifted. So there's things about how you can upgrade the settings and upgrade capabilities. If something is broken, how you fix it. Automations. We heard Nanda talking about the need for more automation. How do we do that? That company I talked about earlier created a whole education about certification. He had specific people, and only they knew the configuration. Well, now automation is breaking that. There's not more, several, CCNAs, CCIE that only know what's going on. It's kind of like democratizing the network, not just for networks. I mean, it's not here, but we have a very large car company that the guy who deployed the network is application developer, not a network guy, not a DevOps guy, just a software application guy that with the right tools can run that. So some ideas, when I'm talking about AI, is agentic AI for running networks. Maybe we'll talk about it if we have use case next year, but we have several customers currently testing agentic AI, a tool that is basically helping you understand your network, but also provision your network. And upgrades, there's SONiC I talked about earlier. There's a lot of distribution, and people ask, which distribution should I use? I'm like, whichever meets your budget, your demands, your requirements, you can decide. So there are multiple distributions, and some are answering other needs. We want to have, and I'm going to show you a live demo. We support all those distributions, the ones that we tested and validated. There's some that look, I don't know too many companies who would go and deploy a Linux out of the internet, but you can, Ubuntu, Red Hat, those are very good ones that you want to build your compute. Do the same for SONiC. So with that, I'll bring my laptop. Hopefully it will cooperate. And I want to show you how to do a multi-SONiC environment. People tell me I'm a masochist, that I'm doing live demos, but there's a lot of videos out there, especially with.
It's going to be breaking.
Breaking?
Yeah, like that.
All right, it's a little bit annoying, but you guys will get it. Usually in monitors that. So this is our orchestration. Currently approximately 19 switches. You can see what I wanted to show you is there are 5 different distributions of SONiC that are currently running here. You can see enterprise, edge core, different enterprises, etc. Different pluggables. But this is the fabric. I mentioned it's a 5-class, so there's a super spine and then about 3 pods. There are 4 different manufacturers of the hardware, but what I want to show is operations. So when you come in, you can create a logical partition of your network to different logics in our case, what we did was like, functional, so out of band. My apologies for the, that, but, the out of band, then you do, spines with Dell, spines with EdgeCore, spines with Celestica, and you can see all of that, with Leafs, et cetera. Why we do vendors? Because multi-vendor, right? If, some companies want a multi-vendor environment, so they can have different, different regions, the diversity of supply, et cetera. So what you see here is about approximately 19 switches running 4 or 5 different versions. And if you come over here and you put an edit, you can, again, all the logical groups, you can create, which version do you want, give them, decide when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and all this functionality into here. Now, why does it matter? Because in your, or the enterprise environment, whether your customers or that, they have different requirements on when you can update the systems, when you run. We have customers that finance is doing reconciliation during the evening, and they do not want to update their switches during the evening. They want to do it in a different time. And we have, then production, they need that during the day. So if I now decide that all the spines of Celestica will be changed into a different version, and I put them at 442, and I can decide where I want to do it, and and put this job into the queue. I can do it right now, and next reboot, or right now. Again, the goal is to have the flexibility on how to do it, when to do it in a multi-environment. And any questions on that? Somebody wants to see some functionality, or? All right, because that thing I want to, let's say, Guessing it's annoying people like as much as it annoys me. So networking, as I started as saying, is a very important function of every organization. Today, I don't know too many companies that don't rely on networking. And for us, there are 4 pillars of running those, getting, like I said, full night's sleep. Best practices. Best practice is a function of time. Whatever the best practice of today is not necessarily going to be tomorrow. And you want to employ or deploy the best practices that of working with vendors, working with the industry. We are working with approximately 4 vendors. We have a big partner with some of the ASIC guys, and getting the best practices. For example, with Rocky, we get a lot of the parameters from Broadcom directly, if you deploy Broadcom silicon, to get the efficiency. Now you can decide if you want a pre-canned Broadcom configuration, or you can get for your specifics, you'll be able to tune it. So best practices all the time. Another thing is having a real good change control mechanism. You want to avoid configuration drift. So how do you do that? Well, it's very difficult to be on CLI and every switch and understand what's going on. You need to have kind of an overall orchestration that does that, read the information from the switch, and give you, what's going on there. You can put it all in a read-only, so any change will be staged and will not be deployed on the switch. So change control is another thing. Maintain your network. I cannot stress this enough, how maintenance is key for a successful operation or avoid outages. There are, whether it's patches, how you distribute the patches, whether it's security updates. SONiC started a security group, approximately half a year ago. If there's a security problem, you want to update it. You heard that the cybersecurity, the third largest economy in the world. I didn't know that. It was a cool piece of information. And last but not least, advances in AI, in machine learning, coming into networks. You want to deploy that. I didn't have time, but there was, we have our own Agentic AI. It's in the bottom. You can click on it, ask it questions, then push configuration to it, and it's in the background running, understanding all your network and picking up all the statistics, putting what's the standard deviation of your specific, and will give you alert as a result. So deploying machine learning is very key to avoid problems. The machine can identify problems before humans can, because it can see trends, it can correlate them, and give you the summary. I want to talk about a use case we did down under with the Australian government. Many governments, by the way, we're about 4 different governments working on with us, and governments go to SONiC for the element of resiliency. They all suffer Cisco shortage of supply and realized we have to take control of our own destiny, and SONiC gives us this capability. So that agency we did 2 data centers, 2 campuses. They wanted, and the campuses also cross, which is interesting. They had specific requirements, how the DCI within the fabric, and very, very complicated. We shipped them the virtual machines, the documentation, and didn't hear back. And after a while, it's like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, I got this. Oh, thank you, it worked. That's it. So why am I saying that? Because in order for SONiC to be successful, you need to have that level. Nanda talked about automation. You need to make it real. And for us, and for the rest of the community, if you want to make SONiC successful, you need easy to consume. Now, yes, you can do to the CLI, there are even, different CLIs, even like, Broadcom has a different CLI than others, but you can do all this manually, but there are 2 things happening at the same time. There's also generational change. I talk about it in other events. The iPhone generation, they don't care about your CLI. They want something to consume very quickly and move on. So in this government agency, we were able to create those fabrics in a matter of hours, got that up and running, and then from there we were able to then do all those patches, updates. I think we did already 2 updates in that system. Any questions on that? All right. Which brings me to my last point. I don't have call to action. I did several call to actions. Nothing ever happened. So, so one of the things, and I did a blog about it, is designing. For all of those vendors that are here, we need to design an elegant solutions. And not me, somebody else did a paper about that called using Maslow hierarchy of needs to define elegance. And to define what elegance it is we need to make solutions that people can consume in an easy way and deploy them the same like Apple did with the iPhone or many other solutions out there. So our problem is if you make a complicated solution, nobody wants to deploy it. I mean, raise of hands, how many of you here like Cisco ACI? And if you are, you are unique. That's definitely. I traveled many continents, met a lot of Cisco guys, and everybody say it's such a complicated thing, and I don't understand 80% of it. And we are trying, as a community, we should try to have the mirror image of ACI. And, so, kudos for you to be able to get ACI. But for the other 99% of the people I met, we need to make something simple, easy to consume. So, more elegant. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Any questions? Yes, Taras.
So how do you basically normalize the configuration and the compatibility matrix between, I believe you've showed 4 different versions of the SONiC. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I believe this is the nightmare, and is it covered by this Verity system, or it has to be done manually by the operator of the system?
Let me add to this nightmare. We also support iOS, Nexus, EOS, and all that. So yeah, that's my pain in life. What we have, we abstracted the data model for all the different NOSes. And we have a container per NOS. And all those, Broadcom, there have some similarity, but the others, so we treat them as different NOSes. So we have an abstracted layer that knows how to talk all of that. That's how, in some instances, we even manage Cisco together with SONiC, because we have this different data models. All right, that's it. Oh, thank you so much for your time.